What's up, guys? Hope you're having a great day today. Sorry that we're not able to do this live, but wanted to make sure that we're able to keep on track with this and continue through these studies with women of the Bible. So hopefully you're having a great day today and enjoying all that God has for you. So we always want to start with what we're thankful for. Today, me and my family are saying our final goodbyes to my granddad who just passed away. So today I'm just thankful for him. I'm thankful for the example that he was, someone who loved his family well, who lived quietly and just sort of, worried about his life and his family, and that's it. And was a hard worker and honored God in those areas of his life. And thankful that for the example that he set for me in that. So leave a comment with what you're thankful for today. We can rejoice in that together. So normally we would do quarter team games. Because I'm recording this ahead of time, your deadline time hasn't come yet, so I'm not going to mess with answers and winners from last time. We'll handle all that. We'll do some extras on Friday. But I do have a new question for you today. So on this date in 1908, the very first Ford Model T rolled off the assembly line. Now, they weren't sold until October the 1st, but the first one was produced on August the 12th. And so, question today is, how much did those cost? When a Model T was first offered to the American public, how much did it cost in dollars? So let me know in the comments what you think about the cost of a Model T, or send me a message one way or another. And we'll see what you guys come up with. That'll be interesting. So, all right, so let's talk about Hannah. Hannah is our focus today as we walk through these women of the Bible. We can find her story in 1 Samuel 1 and 2. So Hannah was married to a man named Elkanah. Elkanah also had another wife named Peninnah, which, I mean, look, that was not a great idea in the first place, and it obviously led to some conflict in the house. So Peninnah had children for Elkanah. And at that point, Hannah was barren. She had not been able to have any children yet. And Peninnah had no problem ridiculing her for that. Look, in those days, children were viewed as a blessing, which is absolutely true, a blessing from God. However, they came to a wrong conclusion in a lot of ways that meant if you didn't have kids, that must be a curse from God. And that is not true. But that was the world that they lived in. Peninnah had no problem taking advantage of that, and like I said, just really ridiculing and coming after Hannah. So every year they would go and make their sacrifices to God, and one year as they went, Hannah, while she was there, just decided she prayed to God, called out to God in a very passionate way. Wherever she was praying, Eli, the priest, saw her, and she was so into her prayer that he thought she was drunk. So she kind of had to explain herself that wasn't the case, but prayed to God for a child, and that if she had a son, that he would be dedicated to God for all of his life, that she would bring him back and let him serve God there. Which was, a pretty big deal, because she wanted this child and yet was willing to give it up if God would actually answer that prayer. So Eli talked with her, said, "May God bless you, may God answer that prayer," sent her home. It wasn't too long after that Hannah got pregnant with Elkanah, and obviously then 9 months later along comes a little boy named Samuel. So Hannah's immediate response was to praise God. She named him Samuel, which sounds like the Hebrew for heard, and to always remember that Samuel was born because God heard her prayer, which is a really cool picture there. And then she did. When the time was right and he was old enough, she took him back to Eli and the tabernacle, and he lived the rest of his life serving the Lord when he was young under Eli, and then eventually as sort of the head priest and prophet and leader of Israel. So as we look at the life of Hannah, what are some lessons that we can learn? Um, I, I see this, and I see two big categories in that were true of Hannah. All right, one is honor, just that she lived her life with honor, and the other is prayer. Such a focus of who she was and what she did was centered around her conversation with God and calling out to God. So honor and prayer. So let's walk through just a quick handful. I've got 4 little lessons that we can learn from Hannah today. One is that she did one. So the first one is from honor. Okay, we see honor in her life in the way that she did not retaliate against Peninnah. There's no record in the Bible that that happened, and so look, we have all dealt with people that are difficult. Maybe sometimes siblings are difficult for us. But Hannah did not respond, did not retaliate, and there's great honor in that, and a great example for us to look. Sometimes other people are going to be jerks. Let's make sure we're not jerks in return. Let's make sure that we're returning kindness for whatever we're getting. So she showed honor in that way. We can as well. The second thing I see about Hannah in prayer, she had a problem. She obviously had this conflict with Peninnah, but even more than that, that weighed on her heart was the fact that she had been unable to have a child. She wasn't griping about it. She wasn't trying to, find some other way around or whatever. She cried out to God. She had a need. She went to God with it. And look, what better example is it than that she cried out to God and went to God first with that stuff. Julie was one that said that Hannah was her favorite character, recognizing the difficulty of not being able to have a child. There was times in our life where we struggled with that as well, but Hannah never lost faith in God in the midst of that. And what a great example that is. So a second honor lesson that I see in Hannah's life is that she kept her word. When Samuel was born, I am sure it was very tempting, like, hey, I finally have a child, I'm keeping him. Because that's what normally happens. You have a child and then you raise them. Hannah had made a promise to God that if she had a child, that child would be dedicated to the Lord and serve him. And she fulfilled that. I imagine that was incredibly difficult, but she did it. She kept her word to God. And Julie pointed out, too, as she was talking about Hannah, that she did that even when it was hard. Y'all, there are times in life where we're always supposed to be people of our word, and there are times when that's difficult to be a person of our word. Hannah did that even when it was difficult. And the fourth thing, another lesson in prayer, as soon as God had answered her prayer, she became pregnant, Samuel was born, her response was to praise God. When God answers our prayers, are we turning around and thanking him for that? We should be. Let's recognize and thank God for the good things that he's doing. Hannah did that. Praise God for his answer in prayer. All right, as we wrap it up, one little sort of bonus thing that I see in this story about Hannah that I think is good to note is just that in the midst of all of this, God's goodness was on display. We can see God's hand at work throughout all of this. Certainly there was a period of struggle for Hannah when she was unable to have a child, but God's timing was perfect. He was planning on bringing Samuel, but the timing had to be just right. And maybe part of that was getting Hannah to just the right place where she was willing to give the child over to serve God. It was hard for her, but the payout was great because of what God was able to do through Samuel. So, yeah, we have struggles, but that doesn't mean God's not there. The second is that God did end up blessing Hannah with more children after Samuel. She had 5 other kids after Samuel, and so God saw her, God heard her, God recognized her, and he blessed her. And he does that with us too. I know things are hard sometimes, but that doesn't mean that God's not there and that he's not good. He is. So like Hannah, let's remember that. All right, so that's it for today. Remember, no Zoom tonight. Looking forward, we'll get back together with another devotion on Friday, and next up is Abigail. So I love you guys. Thanks for joining in with us. Let me know your thoughts on the Model T cost, and we'll see you on Friday. Adios.